electronic tapes, like this one, gave about 36 minutes of music and cost about as much as 3 LP records.
You are listening to KMUZ.
But with the new tape cartridge with easy magazine loading, Living Stereo will be available at a cost of a little more than 1 LP record.
Community radio for the Mid-Willamette Valley, broadcasting to Marion and Polk counties at 88.5 FM and serving Salem and Kaiser at 100.7 FM. Also streaming online at KMUZ.org and on your smartphone or tablet via the free TuneIn radio.
Save money on car accessories now.
Mid-Valley.
It's the Dead Air Fresheners.
Mutations.
Live.
Welcome to Mid-Valley Mutations here on KMUZ. And, you know, we're just having a lot of fun here, kind of getting things set up and ready. You know, we have a lot of old friends in the studio. And we're going to have a lot of fun here. Audience participation 503-990-6101. And I think we need to explore more data. It's Mid-Valley Mutations.
More data. More truth. All of the data
and
all of the truth, right?
As more data becomes available, then we can start doing more with it. And as we do more with it, that creates more data. As more data becomes available, then we can start doing more with it.
Predict.
And as we do more with it, that creates more data.
My algorithmic me.
And
psychological assessment.
And
computational inference.
And
my algorithmic me.
And
who I am.
As more data becomes more data, as we do more with it, we can start doing more with it. That creates more data. Creates more data. As more data becomes more data, as we do more with it, we can start doing more with it. I think we're on the right trajectory that way.
Move the human race forward.
There is so much more information that we have not digitized. So much more information that we're about to take advantage of.
These are real lives that we're capturing. It doesn't get more real than this.
So you subtract out the kitten and start to put together a catalog of everything in the world. More data, more with it, more with it, more data, more data, more with it, more with it, more data, more data, more with it,
unreliable
data, more data, more with it, more with it, more data.
The medical essence of a human being.
The data is there. It's my data.
You don't get to see what they have.
Ask me for it, and I will deliver. Me.
Ecosystem that your bedroom has become.
It knows where you are.
The technology, intimately, it has recorded your every move, every nod, your every breath.
And it has an eye.
More data.
The blankets, the technology, invisibly
how well I've slept,
communicates this information to your healthcare provider when needed. Community of objects.
You don't own your data.
No problem to make the technology disappear.
The algorithm of me is slightly off. It's trivial. It's obvious. Maybe just a little bit. It will happen. It's obvious. It's trivial. Maybe just a little bit. I am going to be in an accident. People have to trust us. Maybe just a little bit.
Really unique before you know it about yourself.
Maybe just a little bit.
Really unique.
A marketplace that trades exclusively in behavioral futures.
Okay, so who cares? What's the big deal?
Pretty good chance this is a low-risk person. No chance they're going to commit a violent crime. They may do some shoplifting or maybe some drug possession, but chances are they're going to be fine. So here's another individual, certain to be arrested for something.
On the
Chick. That hurts. Don't do it anymore.
Are you gonna be on my side if I let you up?
Sure, Chick, sure. I'm on your side. Just let me up. I'll do anything you say.
Okay, Skipper. You're on my side.
Sure, Chick. I'm on your side.
Okay, let's go find the other fellas.
Hi, guys. Hi, Fred. Hi, look what I got.
Where'd you get that?
Dad gave it to me for my birthday.
All my old man ever gave me was a good licking.
It's the same, that's where I got it.
Get off, I don't want to ride it.
Oh, no, Chick, not my new bike. Did he hurt you, Raven? No, he didn't hurt me. But gosh, my new bike. I don't like that guy. Why does he pick on Fred Smith or somebody his old age? Why are you always running around with him? Oh, I don't know. Are you afraid of him? Who, me? Me afraid of him?
Hey, look, no hands.
Voted that the class picnic would be held next Friday afternoon in Riverside Park. Fred Smith was appointed chairman of the picnic committee. The meeting has been adjourned.
Thanks, Betty. I'll have a report from Fred Smith on the plans for the picnic.
Betty and Ginger and I had a meeting over at Ginger's house last Tuesday. We made a list of things everyone had to bring.
Save money on car accessories now.
Mid-Valley.
It's the Dead Air Fresheners.
Mutations.
Live.
All right. Whoa, hey. Things are falling down all over the place around here. So let's just kind of turn some of this down and talk a little bit about what you've just been listening to. We kick things off with More Data, which is a track from a as yet unreleased Negative Land album that will be available at some point. I guess there's 2 new ones coming in the future, so that's a little bit of a taste of what you can expect. And then we jumped into a little bit, or we tried to anyway, with a cassette release from Don Haugen, which we remixed with a little bit of the Dead Air Fresheners. From, oh gosh, what is this one called? Evidence of Superstructures 2, which features some excellent drumming and some other cool stuff. But I think we've been fooling around for too long here, so if you are tuned in, you probably want to hear a little bit of live music, and that's what we got for you tonight. So please give it up for the Dead Air Fresheners here in the KMUZ studios.
Your eyes are getting heavy. Very heavy. They are closing. Your eyes close. You are comfortable. You are now sound asleep in a most comfortable place. I will now count to 3 and then snap my fingers. At that moment, you will be under my power. You will do as I command. Ready? 1.
Well,
You know, sometimes you just, you gotta have a little dead air in your life. That was the Dead Air Fresheners live here on KMUZ, and I think we're gonna need to take a little bit of a break at this point. So perhaps we're gonna have to switch things over to the weather computer. Weather computer, what have you got for us this week?
Thank you, Austin. This is the Mid-Valley Mutations weather computer, and here is a look at the local weather, brought to you by the Dead Air Fresheners. For more information, please visit deadairfresheners.com. or listen for the costumed folks with kids playing that groovy sound you're enjoying. Let your ears lead the way. Tonight, cloudy, low of 48 degrees. Just as I predicted, we're back in a cold patch again. Weather is such a fickle lover. Winds south by southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. There's a 20% chance of rain. Maybe a night walk just isn't in the cards this week. Sunrise at 5:39 a.m. Tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain in the afternoon. High of 69 degrees. If you like this weather, don't worry, it'll change again soon. Winds north by northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with almost no chance of Cary Grant being gunned down by an old joke that I just won't let be. Sunset at 8:38 p.m. And that was a look at the local weather, brought to you by the weather computer and the Dead Air Fresheners. For more information, please visit deadairfresheners.com, or let your faith in music guide your spurt to a live performance near you. Or, enjoy one of the lovely 8 tracks they produced for their last 3 albums. Fast radio bursts sounds particularly solid. But I digress, as I sometimes do. Let's get back to Austin and Mid-Valley Mutations.
All models both play and record, while all the stereo semi-automatics and fully automatic models record stereophonically as well as monoraurally, bringing the new thrill of living stereo to home recording.
Save money on car accessories now.
Mid-Valley.
It's the Dead Air Fresheners.
Mutations.
Live.
And, we're just having a little bit of fun here in the studio, playing some tunes and things, and featuring some cool music. We just had the live Dead Air Freshener set here. In a few minutes, we're going to get them back in for a bit of a chat, so stick around for that. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to play a bit of a release by Chopstick. This is the Apogee Ichibo-op. I think I'm saying that incorrectly. But this is for a tape trade group that I'm a member of, and this was his donation to the trade. And it's being played from an actual real cassette that I had to replace the batteries in the player because it was playing Don Haugen at the wrong speed. So let's hear a little bit of Chopstick here, and then we'll get back to some Dead Air Fresheners here momentarily.
stuff.
KMUZ Turner. .5 FM and 100.7 FM in Marion and Polk County. Salem and Kaiser. Taking over the entire planet at kmuz.org. And you are listening to KMUZ here. And this is Mid-Valley Mutations. And I'm very lucky to have with me the Dead Air Fresheners. Why don't you pull up a mic there and get on that? Okay, I think... How you guys doing there?
Oh, good. That was fun.
Yeah. It's very... what's interesting is that having seen you guys many times over the years, you have this, like... evolution that's been going on where like this feels a part of the whole, you know. Like it's not like I would go like that wasn't Dead Air Fresheners, but it's clearly new too.
Yeah,
like there's parts of it where I'm like, wow, I've never seen you guys do that before.
Well, we have a new album that kind of wrote itself that's going to be out soon, and it sort of changed our instrumentation, at least for the moment. We're going new age.
Yeah, we just heard a kind of I don't know if it's finished or maybe it's pre-mixed or
no, that's done.
Okay,
the track you just played is pretty much everything for the album is we've done everything to it. We're going to do.
Got it. So that was the commodification of Play,
which
was a sample, as it were, of what. What is
a leak,
to come,
even.
I guess, you know.
And that the album's probably going to be called Brother Calls. But I'm not sure. It definitely is not going to be called Echo and the Bunnymen. Because I remember back in the 80s, you know, there was this string of great Echo and the Bunnymen albums. There was Crocodiles, and then Heaven Up Here, and then Porcupine, and then the third one, the Crystal Days, or it's the one that Kelly moves off of.
Well, oh yeah, that one.
But I remember an interview with them when they were about to do the next record, and they were talking about what they'd call it, and it was kind of a sign of where the band was headed that they couldn't really agree during the interview on the title of the album.
And they were going to Candleland is where they were going.
Ian said they were going to call it The Beauty of It All, and Will responded with that bit this mortal coil that, and then they ended up calling the album Echo and the Bunnymen, which you know, it was kind of their album wherein they went for the hits and never recovered.
Right.
So
it's their warehouse.
So we're not going to call it that. That's we've learned.
What about
and we're
warehouse
not going to call
songs and stories?
Yeah.
You want to go that route or
no? And we're not going to. We you know, so it won't.
In the garage.
It won't be called Dead Air Fresheners. We're leaning towards Brother Called.
That would be the worst name. If I saw a Dead Air Fresheners album called Dead Air Fresheners, I'd be like, you guys are over.
Yeah, exactly. You'd expect there to be a lip like sugar on there.
Right. Exactly.
And that'd be painful.
You know, I mean, obviously we're not doing introductions on this one for people who maybe are thinking of the ways I usually conduct these. I usually ask, like, well, who are you? What do you do? But, I mean...
We can talk about the instruments and stuff, but, you know, I don't want to flog the anonymity aspect of the band at this point. We don't, you know... Early on, we used to, like, make a big deal about being anonymous, and now that that's kind of impossible in the digital age.
Oh, sure.
And so I don't even really bother. It's like if I post about something on Facebook, I'm going to say my band, and that sort of thing happens.
But I do.
But there's
try
too
to...
much made of personality in music,
Yes.
and that's what a big part of this group is that individual cult of personality crap is hopefully not what we're about. Now I can't help when I play if I climb on stuff and want to knock
really
stuff
like
around a
being
little.
masked guy with the crosses in it. I mean,
there is something kind of fun to it too, because like what you're saying is that so much of it is that name recognition, and when it comes out of the equation, you actually have to play.
Yeah.
You actually have to make some music
Exactly,
at some point.
exactly.
One thing I like is not worrying about what stupid look is on my face, I mean, you don't know whether I'm completely meditating about what I'm doing or I'm trying to wiggle a chord to make it work.
You're frowning or who knows. Yeah, there is something about that posturing too when you see somebody who's at the keyboard and they're kind of like, hey guys,
what do I do with my face?
And they have this like
big question
look on their face of like, I want to smile, but smiling's not right. And
is it going to be a fake smile?
If you can't do the moves that the keyboardist does in the Olivia Newton-John video for A Little More Love, don't talk to me.
Yeah,
there you
go.
I mean, that dude nailed it. And if you can't do that, put a mask on.
Right. Precisely.
Everybody go watch that video after this.
Yeah.
After Mid-Valley Mutations is over, he shuts the station down anyway.
Right.
Then go watch A Little More Love by Olivia Newton-John. This is as pop culture as you're ever going to get out of the Dead Air Fresheners. But watch that guy, and then you'll realize that that's
it's been done.
You can't be a keyboardist without a mask after him.
Well, you guys do have a new record coming, and we mentioned that, but I want to talk about some other stuff. So, full disclosure, I have actually performed with the Dead Air Fresheners in the past. I think there's a tiny bit of me on Fast Radio Bursts, if I'm not mistaken, perhaps on one track.
Could be. I'm honest to God not even sure, because there's some stuff on, and this is the thing. I mean, everything we do is source material for the next thing we do.
Right. You're supposed to keep track of that stupid stuff. Album you're on.
I know.
The album we just finished is a remix of our first album. I mean, it's it's always like taking what you just did and refining it and literally using it as a sample in the next thing. So there's quite a good chance that there's stuff I use that you're in that.
Right. Well, I just wanted to get that out there because in case people are going like, hey, doesn't he know those guys?
As far as Fast Radio Bursts go, that one is that's kind of a lot of acoustic guitar stuff, a lot of looping of acoustic guitar stuff. The idea was that I was going to get the group to do an Americana album, which it fails miserably at, and it's not at all. But Bob Bucko Jr. not only put it out, but he actually in a sense produced it, and that everything I did I sent to him, and he did more to it before we were done.
Yeah, no, it has a slightly different, and again, I mean,
and the kids are on it a lot. There's Asa, my son is like a lead singer almost on that one.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of.
It also has probably, at least to this date, the most accessible Dead Air Fresheners track ever, which is Time to Say Goodbye, which is a rare thing, and it's a cover of a jazz song, and mixed with a bunch of train sounds and stuff. And it's probably one of our most accessible things ever, and it's of course the last thing on the album.
Right. And that's when I think that one masked guy with the things on his face, I think he played guitar on that.
Right. Well, and I mean, like, I don't want to keep hammering this home, but like. Evidence of Superstructures 2, which we heard an excerpt of earlier, kind of remixed.
Yeah, which is our newest album that is out.
Yeah, and this features heavily drums, which is kind of almost a newish direction for the group.
Yeah, we've had drums come and go through the years, but we've in recent times been doing a lot with drums.
Yeah,
and that album kind of culminates. That album is kind of our Live at Pompeii, and that we were playing a party before anybody showed up. Rather than wait for the people to show up, which would have been the sensible thing to do, we decided to go ahead and play when there was absolutely nobody there. But we had the masks and we had a complicated setup. In fact, one of our drummers had hung his stuff on, because it was his house, had hung his stuff off of things, and my son was drumming on the other kit, so we had a dual drum thing, and then the other two of us building stuff on top of that, and there was just one other person there who was the guy who was recording it to make a video, we thought, but then we liked the audio so much we made an album out of it.
And it's one of these things where, I mean, like, it has phases, but it is kind of one continuous.
Yeah, there was no
piece.
way to break that into tracks. It wouldn't have been fair to the experience. And it really is kind of, it is like Live at Pompeii in that I think we probably played longer than we ever do because there was nobody there.
Right.
And when we play live, I think we tend to get anxious and rush through. I certainly do. We rush through stuff, and that didn't happen.
You never know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that one guy, he hasn't been set up fully like until halfway through the set.
Oh, yes.
That one tall guy,
Sure. And this is kind of one of those things about Dead Air Fresheners, and people can't see this part because it happened off air, but you guys were kind of like performing, and it was like, oh, are they going? Should I turn this on? And you guys like, oh no, we need 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
And everything is like burbling and going.
Well,
and it's
how many experimental musicians does it take to change a light bulb? No, man, that was a sound check.
Right. Well, and so that is kind of like half of the fun of seeing you guys play, is that like the show has this malleable beginning and malleable end. Like I'm thinking of that Specs show that I played on where I wasn't quite sure that you guys had started yet, and then you guys did start, and then, oh wait, are you guys done? Oh no, I guess there's a little more.
Back when I first saw Sonic Youth in 1985 on the Bad Moon Rising tour, that's how they used to do stuff.
Interesting.
They'd come out and just start doing you'd think they were tuning, and then they start playing notes very slowly, and then slowly turn it into the intro thing at the beginning of the Bad Moon Rising, and then go right through and play the album, usually without stopping or announcing or doing anything.
Well, that happened to me once at the Someday when I was backstage and I heard instruments going out front stage and everything. I'm like, okay, they're going, So I went up there and started playing sax, and then when I turned around, they'd all left, and so I was just playing the sax solo, and so
you got a nice little solo set before the main set.
It's automatic orchestration. It just that instrument was there, and then nobody's there to.
This actually leads into something I was kind of curious
about. Sound.
Yeah, no, for sure, and like. There is a very strict... So I was talking to Josh Blanchard about Dead Air Fresheners, because he wrote this piece about you guys in the Mercury a while back. And
nobody would have heard of us ever if he hadn't done that.
Well,
Thank you, Josh.
And now he lives here in Salem, too.
Yeah, he moved down here to get away from the yuppies.
Well, and there was something about kind of like this thing here where, it is... a lot of people miscategorize what you do because they automatically...
I'm sitting on my amp here, and I just moved my butt, and a buzz started.
I know, I almost turned this on.
That is the Dead Air Fresheners new piece.
Well, and so like what I was thinking about is like you are so often lumped into this improv category, and I wanted to talk a little bit about chance determinism, which is something that not only do you feel strongly about, but is really the core of what this group does.
Yeah, more so than improvisation. And improvisation is a tool, but it is not our genre as far as I'm concerned. It's something that everybody, you're right, people have lumped us into it, and to the point that I would, in press releases and stuff, say the Dead Air Fresheners do not play improvisational music, which is probably a lie because we aren't good enough to really play our scores. But
I think that you guys play a little bit of a lot of different things. Like there is improv within it, but there's also constructed pop bits and then samples and then cut and paste and then just all acoustic bits as well. Like it would be unfair to lump you into improv only because that kind of sheds light on one angle of what the whole thing is.
Yeah, and I feel like if I feel the same way about being called noise, though. That's like one part of what we do, and
I think of free orchestration.
Yeah.
Not free jazz or free improvisation.
Right. Free sound design, almost in a way.
Yeah.
And it strikes me as interesting because I tell people we play experimental music because they're just. To me, that's not the genre; it's just the reality. We're experimenting with music, nothing more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting that people don't want to use that term, and when they don't, what they almost always do is do improv/noise.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
To an actual experimental musician are the two most annoying things you could be called in my mind.
Yeah, well,
but you always say improv/noise. Why don't you just say experimental music to say it might be quiet, might be loud? We're not really sure because the musicians are making it up,
right?
Or making the call anyway.
Yeah, as somebody who is often the quiet act on a bill, being called noise always feels wrong. Like, I am often the mellower, more droney person at a show, but like I'm almost always labeled as a noise act, which feels not wrong, but it feels like I'm misleading people.
Yeah,
Don't you have to be a speaker ripper in order to be noise?
That's the thing. I don't like it because it feels like an obligation. I mean, I can and do that, but I don't want to like have it be what I'm supposed to do because now I'm suddenly supposed to do something.
Right.
And that's
You wouldn't want to do anything more sophisticated than noise.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm glad that we kind of like. Yeah,
and the new album, I'm not kidding, is fairly new age. I mean, it's centered. The new record is centered around. There's in the St. John's neighborhood where we're kind of centered these days. There's a elementary school that's right there off of Lombard called James John, and they put in these new instrument toys. And I was out there and found them when they were brand new to me, and recorded something on my phone that turned into a track, and then I played it for a friend who was definitely been into the group and now is in the group essentially, who remixed it, and then we decided to go back with a group of people and record and make a whole album of that. And so the tones, which we were using pretty heavily in the earlier part here, are pretty nice. You know, they're wind chimey.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, we've always had that element, but there's enough of a range of those that I'm really into playing with that for a while. And our next set when we play with you, I'm probably not going to rely on that entirely. And I brought the old Mini-Moog and stuff, but there was kind of this idea with the record of let's try and get the Dead Air Fresheners sound without using the instruments that people associate us with at all.
Sure.
And lately, a lot of our shows have been having a lot of noise guitar too, and there's no guitar on the new album at all.
If I had to guess, though, when I'm going through kind of like everything and saying like, when I think of all the shows that I've been to, you guys usually flip through a lot of different instruments over the years. Like there isn't.
I was going to say it's like kind of interesting to hear the point of view that instruments that we're associated with.
Right. And I was like, wait a minute, which ones? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Mini-Moog I think is pretty huge, and
that's true. I mean, it has been a part of a lot of.
The keyboard is very
pretty much
iconic with the Dead Air Fresheners.
Pretty much every track and most albums, and yeah, you're right. I mean, other than that, but I mean, what sampler you're using is still a sampler,
right?
You know, I mean, it might look visually a little different, but there's always been. But granted, before we used the sampler for a number of years, we did it all with cassettes, and we're like religious about that. We're never going to use a sampler. Always going to do this with cassettes until it just got so aggravating we couldn't take it anymore.
Right. Well, but these days you can get 8 tracks now of Dead Air Fresheners material. So
so we were talking about that earlier in the lobby. That anymore, people are only. Oh, I did it again. That's my butt. Playing music.
This is the set behind the set.
This is our chance
behind,
music
indeed.
We're talking about. I mean, stuff like this.
You
happens,
can't.
You set the dials. And
it's funny.
Set the dials first, and then turn on the switch.
It's funny. There's a John Cage mailing list on the internet that back in the '90s, and we're talking '94. I got in all kinds of trouble by saying to all these academics that I believed you could do a really cool version of 4 minutes and 33 seconds using a whoopee cushion. And man, did they take offense to that. I mean, it just...
This reminds me of a conversation I had with an art school. But
Cage would think that's hilarious.
100%. And this is the thing I think people miss, is that there's a great sense of humor within experimental artists, and that to think that we're all so dry and boring and that we're,
Well, because we've had decades of these academics trying to make it boring and stupid like that, and say intelligent, but their intelligence is stupid because they.
I had this long argument with this girl many years ago about what it means to make experimental music, and that you don't have to have this heady mission statement in order to experiment. You don't have to have like 30 years of studying the masters before you can sit down and go, oh, now I know how to experiment.
Gosh, what is the purity level on that? I mean, you have to go through the eye of the needle to be the most purest experimental musician.
Right.
A lot of people say that you have to completely master like traditional music before you can experiment, because otherwise you're faking it. Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. Well, and
yet if somebody actually does that, like say John Fahey,
right,
his fans still say that he's just screwing around and not doing anything now.
How about the Shags?
Oh, there you go.
I mean, as far as just kids winging it, I guess, under the whip of their dad. But
yeah. But I mean, like, you know, the Fahey example is interesting because I mean, the other side of that equation is Uneasy Chairs, who you know could play the blues in a blues band.
I've heard him do
very well if he wanted to, and even has like a busking album of kind of more traditional kind of music that's beautiful. But when he plays, it usually isn't like that.
True.
And it's not that he's trying that he can't play. Like that's not the thing he's trying to present. He's trying to present something else.
And I would say there's something to be said for when I see him playing. I've always known that he could play. Even when he was doing pretty much a noise rock thing the first time I saw him with the Rolling Blackouts.
Okay.
I've always just been able to tell he could play because I mean if somebody's a really good musician and they're making noise, you know, but the thing is he's good at both, and there are people that are really good musicians who then try and do noise, who are like the really great writers who try and do a science fiction novel, and it's horrible because they're taking nothing on but the cliches and tropes that they shouldn't be.
They think
that's all been done because that's new to them for the first time.
Right. They think science fiction is like it has to be set in space. Now it's science fiction, and they're missing the point.
Yeah, and otherwise they're writing their same book over again, and with a bunch of stuff that you know was done in the Skylark of space stuff in the 30s. You know.
Yeah.
You can take classes on that.
I mean, like I like those Lensman books too, but like I don't want to read them over and over again.
No, and you don't want some great literature writer to write it for you and tell you that it's great now, and that science fiction can be looked at as literature because they did it, which is, and it's the same thing with music and noise. I mean,
right.
And there have been really great people. I always think that when you take anything to the limit and then look for the next step, it may well be an experimental thing that's really great. I mean, certainly, I'm really happy with where Fugazi took punk rock. They didn't just stay here and don't go any further. But that doesn't mean that you can't have people that are doing the out thing to begin with. And I mean, look at all the great outsider music and.
Sure.
And you never know with that either. I mean, is Jan Deck a good musician or not? I don't know. I think he is.
Right.
I think that the people who go on.
He tends to play his guitar out of tune a lot, which bothers me.
Well, that's what he does on his Jan Deck albums. But does that mean he's not in a blues band somewhere playing completely different?
Yeah.
When he's not in Jan Deck,
that would be kind of funny in Houston if you wandered into a bar band.
I will just say, purposely detuning the guitar the way he does is kind of. If he purposely does that, it's grating. It's to somebody who's familiar with an instrument. It has that sound of it's kind of like the sound coming out of his amp right now with the 120 hertz hum. It's that sort of thing. It's kind of like that's the no sound.
I love that
or
stuff.
feedback.
I love it coming out of my amp, and I love it even more coming out of Jan Deck.
And it's funny because I have never perceived it that way. I assumed, and this is because I don't play guitar normally, that. I just assumed that he was playing it that way on purpose, that he wasn't detuning it, that he was picking that chord,
I was just thinking he's picking up a guitar that has been just laying there or something and playing it and pressing the chord.
Probably.
Which I'd say that's probably it.
Yeah. Well, we have this new advanced album bit that's kind of not done yet or anything. I feel like we should play another selection from this and then maybe transition to the end of the show. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of the Dead Air. We didn't really get into history. Wikipedia them. They're on the interwebatrons with that. You can find that history stuff there. What would be a good way we should head in this direction on here? I was kind of looking at possibly Brother Wind.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
That Brother Wind would be a lot of work done by the person who I'm thinking I'm probably with this album going to have to give my friend Enon a producer credit, because I feel like he did a bunch and deserves some credit, and he sort of became part of the band, but still it's like he did some recording and offsite things that that's one of the only credits I'll ever give as a producer credit, because I feel like if you're playing in the music, you're part of the music. But
right. Yeah, it's always kind of hard to know where to draw that line sometimes.
It sure is.
Some people inspire you in ways that are much more important than a producer does, and then sometimes the producer actually physically makes the recording better. So it's an interesting place to be. Well, we're gonna hear a section of this here, and then probably some Petite Sac, and then we're gonna get back to some live music. So this is Mid-Valley Mutations, and it sounds a little like this.
All models feature a fast forward action as well as a fast reverse for editing and selection. All models also feature an automatic shutoff that turns off the machine when the tape has finished playing. The tape is now completely rewound, ready for playing. No need for rewinding. The new tape cartridge is at all times ready for play.
Save money on car accessories now.
Mid-Valley.
It's the Dead Air Fresheners.
Mutations.
Live.
and I think it's time for the weather, if I'm not mistaken. Weather computer, are you there?
Thank you, Austin. This is the Mid-Valley Mutations weather computer, and here is a look at the local weather, brought to you by the Dead Air Fresheners. For more information, please visit deadairfresheners.com, or try believing what you find on their Wikipedia page. It is really quite a read. Tonight, cloudy, low of 48 degrees. Whoever owed me money on the cold snap prediction better pay up. Winds south by southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. There's a 20% chance of rain. You may get out of yard work this weekend, if you are lucky. Sunrise at 5:39 a.m. Tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain in the afternoon. High of 69 degrees. Nice. Winds north by northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with almost no chance of Cary Grant being gunned down by a... well, you get the idea. Sunset at 8:38 p.m. And that was a look at the local weather, brought to you by the weather computer and the Dead Air Fresheners. For more information, please visit deadairfresheners.com, or try looking for them on social media. Who knows, you might get lucky. Now, put your Halloween masks back on, and let's get back to Austin and Mid-Valley Mutations.
And now some more features for easy, convenient indexing. You have first the footage counter, giving you an indication at all times of how much tape has been recorded or played.
Save money on car accessories now.
Mid-Valley.
It's the Dead Air Fresheners.
Mutations.
Live.
All right. You've been listening to a little bit of Le Petit Sac. Again, part of that tape trade club that I mentioned. This one came in the mail not too long ago, and boy, is it a doozy. I recommend checking out some of his stuff. He's quite the performer. And then we heard a sample from the new Dead Air Fresheners as yet to be released album, Brother Wind. An album that who knows when that'll be out. But I think it's time to do a little mini mutation with the Dead Air Freshener, so please enjoy this.
2 do on a swing? This is what not to do on the ends. This is what to do with the spring hammers. Go! Let's go! Fight! Yeah! Fight! Fight! This is what to do on the balance bar. That was intense. This is what not to do on the diggers. This is what to do on the diggers.
This is what not to do on the tube slide.
Okay. This is what to do on a tube slide. This is what not to do on a rock wall. Mommy! I'm scared of heights, Mommy! This is what to do with the rock climbing wall. This is what not to do with a slider bar. Uh-oh. This is what to do on the slider bar. This is what not to do on a swervy bar thinking about. This is what to do on a swervy bar thinking about. This is what not to do on the fireman's pole. What to do on the fireman's pole. This is what not to do on the twirly slide. This is what to do on the twirly slide. This is what not to do on the monkey bars. This is what to do on the monkey bars. This is what not to do with the dome. fun game to play is alligator tag. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Oh, Frankie.
Are you ready to learn about playground safety? Are you ready to learn about playground safety? Are you ready to learn about playground safety? Well, listen up. We are here to help you. Are you ready to learn about playground safety? Well, listen up.
Well, I think we're getting near the end of the program here. That felt good. That felt like a fun little live thing for the radio listeners out there. That was the Dead Air Fresheners from the I-5 corridor, I guess is the easiest way of putting it. You know, they got members all over the place. It's probably the easiest way of putting it. The cameras are off. Do you guys want to give us a rundown of any shows you might be playing or something? Place where we might be able to see you or something like that? Like, how do we...
Not absolutely confirmed, but I believe that we are playing Saturday night, a week from tomorrow, in Bellingham at the Alternative Library.
Oh, that is a good venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, this is not confirmed completely. I think there's a show that we're jumping on the bill, and somebody needs to be assured that we won't scare everyone away.
They put on some pretty weird events there. I think they'd be all right with that.
But I think it might be like an indie rock show that somebody pulled a favor to get us invited to, and we probably need to negotiate our way in. And
Oh, I see.
I'll just explain our current New Age direction, and that should be
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people are into those old Windham Hill releases these days, so I think it'd be. I really had to stretch to pull that name of that record label out of my head.
I actually worked for a while for the Washington Center for the Performing Arts in Olympia, and I had to promote a George Winston concert, which was for me
interesting.
Quite the sellout experience. It was.
There's elements.
Although I've used him in a Dead Air Fresheners piece before.
Well, and I've sampled him as well. It's funny because
he's a cheap pianist.
His Christmas album is the only one I do not like. Like, I think his other stuff has merit, but the Christmas one drives me batty. But that's neither here nor there.
It's interesting that the time that I had to write about him, his interviews, all he wanted to talk about was slack key guitar.
Oh, interesting. How funny. Well, I might also, while I'm here, just kind of mention offhandedly, if you like this kind of thing, you might want to listen to a sister program of ours from the Portland area on Freeform Portland, actually. What's this called? Where you can hear a lot of weird, wild stuff, kind of like what we do here. And what's this called was kind enough to host Mini-Mutations recently on our April-Spring tour jaunt, which was tons of fun. So
it was like an exchange student program.
Yeah, it was a little bit. So please check out lots of cool stuff. What's this called .net, actually. You can, I think, hear a very long-spanning archive of stuff. It's missing the original incarnation, but it's got a lot.
That's the last show of the original.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff up there. So what's this called .net? Our sister program, friends of Dead Air Fresheners as well. I think you guys are on Bandcamp-ish stuff and whatnot.
I still haven't gotten on our own Bandcamp. We are both. We're on the Personal Archives. Bandcamp has the Vast Radio Burst album on it, and we are on SoundCloud. Actually, the place where we still have the most stuff. And it's becoming so unhip that I'm actually really liking being there. It's kind of along the lines of putting out the 8 tracks rather than cassettes.
Yeah, that is kind of true. Like, there was a period where SoundCloud was cool, and then it suddenly just dropped off the face of the map.
They said they were going to do some things that I don't think they ever even did, and it freaked everyone out, and everyone fled.
Oh, so it goes. Well, and please do check out their Dead Air Fresheners at a show, because you can get one of these wonderful 8 tracks that we were talking about, homemade, but with Dead Air Freshener sounds. Am I forgetting anything else?
Probably. Yeah. If you do see a book that's out there about the Dead Air Fresheners that goes for like $50 to $75, $100, don't buy that. That's actually somebody who just prints out the Wikipedia page and sells it.
That's true. People do that. I forgot about that. I should try to order
Googling
one.
yourself, you find some of the most interesting things.
I should try to order a Dead Air Fresheners book and see what I get.
You would get a very nicely bound copy of the Wikipedia page.
That might be worth it, actually. That's kind of cool. I like that. Well, let's close with a little something here. It's a remix. Maybe you know what this is. Maybe you can call and tell us what the source material for this little tune is. What can I say? You guys are wonderful. You guys are beautiful. And without you, there would be no program. Be seeing you.
On the old type tape recorders, the slowest speed at which music could be satisfactorily recorded and played was 7 1/2 inches per second. But now, high fidelity music at the new low speed of only 3 3/4 inches per second, made possible by the development of precision-controlled RCA Victor sound heads and precision-balanced motors. The product of 4 1/2 years of research. One whole hour of stereophonic music or 2 hours monaural in a single tape cartridge.
Mid-Valley Mutations.